All right, well, this day took a very unexpected turn. Look at that. Dude, what in the actual world? As if 2020 couldn't get any weirder or any worse. We have now come out to Banning / Cabazon, Cherry Valley, etc., out here in the Inland Empire, because this is raging just a little ways away from my aunt's house. I believe they have a voluntary evacuation right now, so we are coming to help out if we need to, and at the moment we were scouting out exactly how close the hotspots are to her house, because, you know, they're trying to get everything ready in case they have to leave, so they can't really get out and get first-hand intelligence. But man, I just happen to have this camera with me with the super wide lens, so that looks really far away, but that is not far away. And what you're looking at is the side of a mountain, and just the little specks are like 100-foot columns of flame. You can see just, it must be trees just bursting into flame, because it looks like little explosions and stuff. And this plume of smoke, you could see it all the way from Orange County. Now luckily, I mean, not for anyone living over there, but luckily for most people over in Cherry Valley and to the west where my aunt lives, it seems like the wind for once is actually blowing east, which is mostly emptier stuff, less homes that way. So that is the silver lining, but still a lot of property damage going on, a lot of craziness. Oh man, this is weird too, because we had just put down the cameras. I was going to do a whole thing today and tell you guys where we've been, what we've been up to, and how 2020 just got personal. That was a whole long thing, but it didn't work out. Had to stop filming. I was like, oh man, a lost day. And then as soon as we got home, I was like, hey, you guys might need to drive out somewhere and check some stuff out. Dude, that little flame you see in the center of your screen there is no little flame. Like, those are massive, huge flames up on the side of that mountain. And obviously on the other side of this hill, there's a lower down, closer to homes and property. I mean, you can see some of the edges of the civilization, as it were, right there. That is wild. Luckily, Allie's got her fancy new iPhone, so it's taking some pictures, and in the pictures you can tell a lot easier, like just how nuts this is. Just based on where it is up in the canyons and stuff, they're able to block off traffic, so it's pretty much impossible as civilians to really get close to where it's the craziest looking. But we wanted to get as close as we could to see, okay, how far is it from my aunt's house and stuff. And so now we're about to head back that way and go report on the happenings. Dude, this is another one of those many times where, okay, good, I'm glad I had a camera at all, but the camera, the lenses, or whatever I've got do not do this justice. That is wild looking. Actually, farther back down in town, it looks crazier, because when you're backed away from it, you can see farther up some of these canyons. And just for those who live in Southern California, to give a little perspective, we're sort of just at the very north end of Banning. And if you look down that way into that valley, sorry about the focus, it's so dark, I could just see the casino down there. What is it, Morongo? The one down in Cabazon. The Pee-wee dinosaurs are down there. What time is it right now? Almost midnight? It's like 11? Right around 11 o'clock, so it is dark. But over here, especially to the naked eye, the whole sky is lit up orange. It is wild, dude. It's one of those times where we're kind of trying to use our inside voices. Okay, so the good news, at least in terms of our mission and reason for being here, is that it is quite a distance away, actually, it turns out, from my aunt's house. From right next to her house, just the weird angle, the angle she has towards the mountains and towards the fire, make it look, right, like, yeah, it looks like the whole sky is orange behind it, and like the fire must be one block over and it's the end of the world. But it took a good long while to actually get close to it from her house, so it looks like they won't have to leave or evacuate or anything tonight, so that's good. See, look though, this is what I'm saying about it looking crazier from farther back in the town. We were right up against that dark hill in the foreground, so a lot of the fire and the orange glowing crazy clouds were cut off, actually, the closer we got. It is a massive fire, as you can see. I feel like this is just 2020. 2020 in a picture. Just everything burning down. This is just the visual symbol that perfectly goes along with the last couple of weeks for us. First of all, we had to redo all the accounting and taxes for 2019. That was crazy. And then, obviously, just life in 2020 period for everyone. The lockdowns, the unlocking, the relocking, the arguing, the chaos everywhere, the anger. And all throughout it, I've just kept the quest for positivity in mind. Can't control the circumstances, right? That's 2020 in a nutshell. You can only control your reaction. I'm trying to react positively. Keep cool. And even though all the places it's normally my job to go and film are closed, and then unlocking, and then right when I'm about to go, they close, and even though we've been really crazy about being careful about the virus thing, and I'm talking behind the scenes, going way above and beyond anyone else we know that does a similar kind of job that we do, any of our colleagues. In case you haven't noticed, we've been filming some stuff and then trying to spread it out as much as possible because we've been staying home for at least a week, sometimes 2 weeks, self-quarantining just in case, or waiting till you can get a COVID test so you know you're cool before we've gone and done anything else. That's really spaced out everything. I've been reluctant to get on a plane, so just things have just been grinding to this weird, like, do you, don't you? And of course I catch flack whether I'm staying home. You're not doing anything. Or if I go out, you're endangering everyone. It's been a wild year for everybody, right? And so many people have had it just so much worse in all kinds of ways. Everything from financial. I mean, we haven't had a really fun time this year financially. It's been a little tough. And so many people, like the people in any way involved in this fire, for example, have had a much worse year than us. So I always feel like, you know, I shouldn't complain. I shouldn't get down. Don't let yourself get depressed. You know, it could be worse. Try and stay positive. Think of all the things you're grateful for. But I'm not gonna lie, although this really helps put things in perspective here, so it helps a little. It's been tough this week because 2020 for us just got personal. And we sort of been unwinding. It's been a little difficult. The door to depression was kicked wide open in the last week or so, let me tell you. That's why I've been sort of off the radar, but like I just said, this kind of puts it in perspective, right? Yikes. Things are crazy. So I'm gonna go back to my aunt's house really quick, actually, speaking of, so we can relieve some of her worry, and then we'll talk some more. Jeez, see, yeah, you're still kind of relatively new to Southern California. I've seen a lot worse fires, so in perspective, and in much closer proximity to a lot more, you know, densely packed areas. But no fire is good, especially if it gets near anybody's home. You never want that, you know. And each fire can turn into absolute insanity. But at least now I know where the fire is, so we can go and relieve my gathered family down here, relieve some minds. Like, I think you'll be able to go to bed, you know. If somebody wants to stay awake, that's fine, but I think they'll be okay. Earlier when we ran out of sunlight with the other camera and made a failure of trying to do a little video update, I was thinking, well, there's always tomorrow. I was not expecting to be driving through Banning. Wait a minute, do we have the mast in here still?
Yeah, we do. Okay,
just making sure. Put the mast on over there, you know? It'd be easy to forget. Yeah, see, for some reason the farther away from it you get, sometimes the closer it looks. It's so weird. As you can see, all access points to roads going up towards it are closed off. Between you and me, I'm still a little bit nervous about that, because if the wind switches and goes the other way, then that could throw stuff all down towards her house. But for the moment, if the weather holds, should be okay. Which is exactly what I'm about to go report to the fam.
Yeah, from here, it looks way closer than it actually is.
Yeah, it took a while to get back over by her house. But I can see where, if they're just standing on their lawn looking at that, they're going, oh my gosh, the five of them is coming for us. How did you learn our language? I listened. Every time there's a fire in the hills, or it gets really foggy, that's all I think of.
It looks way less crazy than it did before.
Yeah.
When we were first here.
Well, look, you can't even smell it anymore, so the wind is really blowing it out towards the desert. All right, let me just tell the fam what's up. We will be right back after these messages. We'll be right back. Ooh, smells like horses. Oh yeah, look at that. It's a couple hours later now. It's after 1 in the morning. Look at that. This is from my aunt's house. So this is at least 20 minutes away. The whole mountain's going. Look at the size of that blaze. Dude, that is an unfun one. I mean, all you can see from here is glowing and smoke and fire, and it looks like it's gonna come straight into the neighborhood. Apparently it's only burned one house though, so far. So that's good. Hopefully, it's a big fire, but hopefully, you know, it doesn't destroy lives.
Not burning up tonight.
Yeah, not tonight. Maybe a different night. And hopefully just burning up with party fever and nothing else.
All right, we've done our duty. And now my Aunt Tina can go home and sleep well.
It is gnarly because we're like, I don't know, a ways away, like I was saying, but from the perspective, just the weird way the hills line up at night, it really does look like the fire is like right in her neighborhood. Whew. Well, at least now my mom will know her sister is safe for one more night. Well, it did make me feel a lot better to find out that only one person's house burned down and that they got out and they were okay. Apparently they lost their cat. Their cat's running around somewhere, so hopefully somebody finds that. And hopefully it won't get anybody else's house. It's pretty gnarly, but it's burning towards sort of the no man's land area, so hopefully it won't be too bad. I had so many other things I wanted to say and talk to you guys about, and the first attempt at filming something today, and then the fire knocked it out of my brain, and we're talking to my aunt for a while, and now I'm so tired. You tired, Allie?
Yeah.
Yes. So, I think right now we'll just concentrate on heading back to Orange County and doing the whole go home and sleep well part. Oh my gosh. We slept forever. Now it's the afternoon. Look at this mess. Look at all this crazy stuff. All the crazy merchandise. And then Allie's making masks for Etsy. I'll tell you one thing. I do not like waking up in the afternoon. That's one of the weirdest things about this whole year. Or the pandemic. The whole weird being at home thing, and everyone's sleep schedule is all disrupted. I don't think we got home till 3 or 4 in the morning, and then we were talking. It's so weird because I grew up in a band and touring and being up till 3, 4 in the morning and driving till the sun comes up and catching a few hours of sleep, and I always became like a night person. I thought I was a night person. Then I've noticed the last couple of years something switched in me where like if I'm up early or even early-ish, I like get a lot more done. I got a lot more energy. So now whenever I live like night person hours, I'm like crushed and destroyed all day. Oh, I hear the ice cream truck out on the street. Is that the ice cream truck or the food truck?
I don't know.
I don't think I've heard that song before.
Me neither.
Anyway, no matter how many hours of sleep there are, now I feel like if I wake up and I see the clock and it's afternoon, much less if it's afternoon, I'm like, I can't do anything. But then I'm the type of person that I know, like if I go to bed and I haven't done anything in the day, I'll go cuckoo. That's part of the list of 2020 horrors that we all have, right? We've all got the thing, especially any of us have been locked down and doing the quarantines and stuff. You know how it is. It's like frustrating to try to find things to do, and you plan things and all of a sudden things re-lock down, or they open up, you make new plans and they lock back down. That's tough for me, a travel filmmaker person, and you make the plans and you can't go. And then I don't know if I've mentioned yet, but like we're trying to take it really strict. So what you haven't noticed behind the scenes is we'll go out and film stuff for a few days, and then we would lock back down for a week or 2 weeks. You know, if you can't get a test, you know, then you can lock down, make sure no symptoms, all that stuff, to be extra, you know, cautious, extra safe. Got a lot of other friends out there that just filming willy-nilly, just rocking it, but I don't know. Allie and I have always tried to be really careful about all this stuff. And then of course I've got my kid every other week, so I've been trying to like let him have some kind of summer and do stuff with him and spend quality time with him, since he can't go to camp, you know, he can't hang out with all his friends. And of course, like everybody else, you know, it's been super tough to make ends meet, just keep the roof over our head. All right, stay in there. I haven't hugged my mom and dad in 6 months, you know, like all the usual, the normal sort of stuff everyone's going through, and all through it, I've been like determined, like to stay positive. All right, can't control the circumstances, can only control the reaction, right? Super quest for positivity. Even when people are getting crazy on us, which they do, by the way. If we don't film enough, people are like, what are you doing? If we do go out and film anything, even though we're masked, we take time between to make sure no sickness or anything. There's always a certain small number of people who are like, you're killing everybody. And then we have one of the worst neighbors I've ever had upstairs. I gave the full saga in the Patreon podcast, but not only have we really outgrown the space, there's stuff everywhere. There's usually like a 24-hour party upstairs, banging, there's a dog barking. They're gone right now, so it's like, oh, peace. This is our vacation for 2 hours. Then you can't move, you're locked into a lease, and you know, you just try to make ends meet. It's just crazy town. Through it all though, I've managed to hold on when it gets depressing, managed to hold on when it gets anxiety inducing out there with the whole world arguing. But we lost control there for a little bit because, like I mentioned last night, 2020 got personal. However, I cannot talk about that in here. I gotta get out. So we're gonna finish up Allie's Etsy work, kick off the house shoes, and get outside. Oh, there we go. See, that feels a little bit better. Little more breathing space out here. You might think it's kind of crappy, but it isn't. Yeah, I've struggled with anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress, things of that nature, pretty much my entire life, ever since junior high or so, panic attacks, all those things. And what I've noticed for me in my life, that the best way for me to fight back effectively against it is just perpetual motion. Constant action, stay busy, stay on the move, do what I can to make other people happy, you know, learning eventually to not sacrifice my own happiness in the bargain. But mainly the perpetual motion thing. Staying busy, always having something to work on, to put my energy into, instead of using that energy, you know, to beat up on myself mentally, as it were. It was a surprise in my life when I got old enough to figure out, like, wow, I'm really a live to work person, not a work to live person. You know what I mean? And so 2020, the lockdowns, the pandemic, all that kind of stuff, just the quarantines and staying put and changing plans. It's tough for me because I like to stay on the move, stay busy. And even though that was impossible for at least a giant chunk of 2020, especially lately, you know, it's been even harder to make plans than it was in the beginning. I think the thing that kept me okay, that kept me sane and focused, even during the most stressful part of this so far for myself, was that everything here in the beginning of the year might be in flux, might be crazy. And okay, the middle of the year might be getting crazy, but over here, towards the end, I had a plan. A solid plan, and now that plan has been vaporized. The thing that's kind of been holding us together is that we knew towards the end of the year, in October in fact, we were getting married. October 10th, 2020, 10/10/2020. It seems so perfect. Flattening the curve for a couple of weeks in March, or the extended 30 days in April to May, that wasn't gonna affect us, right? And even though traveling and working is still all kind of heimbucked and messed up, you know, a lot of things have been unlocking. And even though we knew our already small wedding would probably end up being a little smaller, since doubtless many of the guests wouldn't be able to make it, or would have to cancel, or would be too nervous because of the virus, we're pretty confident things were gonna be all right, you know what I mean? Our guest list was already only 50 people, so even if half the people didn't show, we could still manage to do something, film it, get all the photos, and at least share it virtually with some of the people who should have been there in person. But alas, my friends, I have to tell you, and this is why Allie's here, because she still can't talk about this right now without tearing up and choking up, and so she didn't want to be on camera. The city in which we were supposed to have this wedding has decided to extend their no gatherings of more than 10 people thing right on in to October, beyond our wedding through Halloween, the whole deal. Now, the place where we're having this wedding gave us an amazing option. 2 people live there, so it was like, hey, if you guys still want to do it, we can do it. But the neighbors will 100% rat it out, so it has to be 10 people. Well, that's 2 already living there. And we had a very special guest, a sort of celebrity guest, if you will. I don't want to say who and then it not end up happening later, but who was going to come and actually do the ceremony for us, which is very exciting. And that person came with another person, so there's 4. Me and Allie is 2 more, that's 6. Couldn't even have mom, dad, brother, you know, and a friend, and it would be full. We really considered just going ahead with it anyways. I mean, we waited a long time for this. When Allie moved in with me in 2016, I was ready to take her to the courthouse right then and marry her. But Allie, being Allie, a very classy person. She wanted, no, let's wait a while. And then if we're gonna get engaged, let's really get engaged. The ring, the whole, you know, keep it classy, keep it classic. Like, okay, no problem. So after a little more than a year, you know, she finished school and everything. We got engaged, I think in, what was it, December 2017. A while ago now. But then Allie started having all those health problems with Crohn's disease, and she had to have a big surgery that she had to recover from. She actually had to have 2 different procedures. And by the time all that was over and we knew she was gonna be okay in 2019, it was sort of too late to plan a wedding by then. She really wanted a fall wedding. She really specifically had a nice visual in mind. We were looking for a venue forever for the forest and all this stuff, and then we ended up finding a place closer to home, smaller, more private, but just visually how Allie wanted it to be, right? And this is her wedding, okay? This is her wedding. She swears she's only ever gonna have one, so she wants it to be right. Apparently it's a stereotypical man thing, I guess, so people blame me, like, oh, you're dragging your feet, what's up? You're delaying the wedding, huh, Justin? It wasn't me. I love the girl. I would have run off and got married by Elvis in Las Vegas or down to the courthouse with a piece of paper. She knew I'll get on a boat in any harbor you want in the world and go out to sea and get married by a sea, whatever it takes, man, I'm in. I am all in. And finally, when it felt right to her, when she had found the right place, the right combination of people to help us out with the wedding, the food and the decorations and the cake, everything all planned out, now here, the decision had to be made. It had to be made. Either compromise everything, get married with literally just a few people around, not even the bridesmaids and the groomsmen and all that we had planned. Start from scratch and do a new wedding somewhere different, all whipped up all quickly, or if she wants the wedding she wants, the wedding she planned, wait an entire other year just to be safe. And so, of course I left the decision with her. I'm not making that decision for anybody, you know. She thought about it for a while, and I said, like I've always been, I am with you no matter what you want to do. But it looks like now, the die has been cast, the final verdict rendered, and we are not going to get married for a whole other year. Which of course meant, after already actually changing the date once, telling people who had had a second save the date, like, oh, sorry, we got to move it all around. And then of course everyone wanted to be helpful and nice to poor little Allie, so they're all telling her, well, what if you did this or what if you did that? But all that really did was just underline, like, you didn't get what you wanted. And I mean, here's the thing, it's sad, but a year isn't really that long, you know what I mean? I mean, as Doc Holliday would put it, I'd already considered myself a married man, forsaking all others from the beginning with her. We've lived together for a while, we've been a family for a while now, you know. And in the grand scheme of things, with so many people hurting and suffering and struggling right now, including us a little bit, you know, what's a year to wait for a wedding? It doesn't seem like that big of a deal, you know, it'll be okay. I mean, because of the virus, we would have already had to cancel or postpone our honeymoon, so that wasn't gonna happen. Money was already really tight, so everything was just a little bit stressful. I mean, putting it off another year is like, okay, you know, maybe it's for the best. Maybe it happens for a reason. It's all good. We're trying to look on the bright side, but I gotta tell you, once we started making those calls, cancel the food, we gotta postpone this or that. People were trying to make suggestions and be helpful, but it just kept having to make those calls, you know. It really got to be depressing. I mean, just straight up, like, man. And not in a bratty way or anything, because I mean, we're trying to keep it in perspective, but poor Allie, like, it really started to get to her as it sank in, you know. Poor Allie, I can't even try to repeat to you some of the cute, just sad things that she is saying to me. Anyway, that's the first stage of why you saw us kind of disappear there for a minute, more or less, at least in terms of this. It took a minute. I call a lot of places, and poor Allie, and she was trying to be so brave, and she'd get the little lip squiggle, and the eyes would just turn. I was like, oh no, here come the poor tears, poor Allie tears. So that I expected, you know, and normally when Allie's really sad like that, getting the quivery lip, I jump into comfort mode, you know. It makes me less sad so that I can be there for her. Like, it's okay, which is good, you know. I'm sad too, but sometimes the best way to hold yourself together is to hold other people together. Unfortunately, this time, I don't know, man. It was like everything else that happened, everything else that I'd kind of gone, look at the bright side, it's okay, we're gonna make it through this year, no big deal, it's all gonna be fine, this will be over soon. Every plan that had to be canceled, every setback, the empty bank account, the not being able to hug my mom or dad, you know, for 5 months, it all started to come loose and hit me all at once like an avalanche. And I think I've actually sort of figured out why. With all the other 2020 problems, right? Pandemic, financial struggles, terrible upstairs neighbor, Allie's health problems cropping back up, and people criticizing us if we do stuff, if we don't do stuff, just all the yelling and fighting and the chaos in the world and everything else going on, obviously, without even touching the fact that the election year and the protests and the things and the burnings and the craziness, and worst of all, being absolutely cut off from my usual method of coping with this stuff. You know, just by being able to work and keep busy and make other people happy. It just, I don't know. It's like every other plan was ruined, devastated, destroyed, heimbucked, everything else could go wrong. But over here, we were gonna get married. As long as we got over here, this one thing was going to happen. You know, health problems, money problems, people getting sick out there, and all the stuff going on, people that are angry, people that are dying. I mean, just chaos. Absolutely, the whole world could burn down. But on October 10th, I am marrying the love of my life. That big thing that's been hanging over our heads and that we've been wanting to do, and it's just kept eluding us, will finally be checked off the list. Progress. We will at least accomplish this one glorious mission, and so everything else can go crazy. But as long as we have this one thing planned in ahead, it was keeping my mental tension okay. It was like, I've got this over here. Whatever else happens, like, somewhere in the back of my mind was like, but on October 10th though, you know, oh man. Now keep in mind, this is all subconscious stuff I'm talking about here. I wasn't thinking about this out loud, but it was almost like this last little clothespin holding up the giant sheet of my positivity and my hopes and my strength. Just snapped, fluttering in the wind. And I know for about a week I've just been trying to get back up. You know, you hit, nothing you could do about it. You got hit. The getting up is up to you. So, don't get me wrong, I'm not describing a wallowing thing, you know. I may have slid into the depths of despair for a few moments, but at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world or anything. It's just it happened to be that one thing that you could just sort of have. That meant at least this, you know, at least we're gonna get here. So the wedding is now officially postponed, ostensibly for a year. And Allie's really sad, and she can't come with me while I talk about this, because I told her, well, you're gonna have to talk too. I don't want to talk for you if you're standing right there about this kind of stuff, but she can't really talk about it without getting choked up. And then she'll be okay, she'll be fine for a whole day and everything's fine. She's like, yeah, it makes sense, and there's a lot of benefits to waiting another year, you know. I could plan this thing different, and you know, we'll have more money, the honeymoon won't be canceled, so and so and so and so and so and so will be able to come. Which I wouldn't have been able to do now during the pandemic because of travel restrictions and stuff like that. But then the next day, it's like I look over and her lip looks all tight, eyes looking a little pink, like, uh-oh, what's wrong? And the tears are back. So it's been a little more than a week now, and we've contacted pretty much everybody. I think we've run down the whole list of vendors and places to get deposits back from, and you know, all that stuff, which we did, so that's all good. A lot more time to get used to the idea and store it up here. But even though we're resigned to it, it's our decision, you know, and it's okay. And I mean, it's nothing compared to some of the trials and tribulations other people are going through, obviously. Even for me, it's taken really this long to be able to talk about it without breaking down, because like I said, it wasn't even just the wedding itself, which would already be sad, but the fact that it was standing in as the hope and the thing that was keeping off depression and being upset about so many other things. Boy, this is deep. For so long. You know, we're blessed in so many amazing ways. Neither of us really wants to complain or wants to feel this way, but it's been tough. So, almost there. So we've been off the radar a little bit. Just taking a little time for grief. More because we just had to. We were both just sort of losing it than because we really wanted to, obviously. And I really just tripled down on the whole quest for positivity. You know, it doesn't matter. If you're already happy, you don't need a quest for positivity. It's when everything's about to get dark, when the sun is setting on your life, that you gotta go, where's the moon? You know what I mean? It's never fun to find out you're depressed, but exercise definitely helps. It's a big thing. I normally try to stay so busy I don't have time to be depressed, and now I've been trying to stay sweaty and out of breath enough that I don't break down. Actually, if I wasn't doing this and getting winded, I would be having a much harder time not getting all choked up and crying. So this is good. This is nice. I'm able to get through this. But it is strange, huh? Human beings are so funny because, I mean, maybe some of you have been through this, but like, I've had times where people are dying around me, you know, loved ones, and just horrible stuff going on and terrible things, and I've been okay. I've been able to be there for everyone, be strong, be reflective, philosophical. And then there's other times where you're going to take out the trash and the bag breaks and you'll lose your mind. I mean, you'll absolutely go insane, you know? You never know what that straw is gonna be. That's just too many things. Like right now, and it's hard to really capture. The sunset looks so beautiful, but a part of that is because there's so much smog and smoke in the air from fires. That weather always makes for beautiful sunsets. And actually, I should let you guys know, I have actually been working this whole time when I'm silent. I am actually working on something that probably won't be done for months, if not maybe a year-ish. And no, it's not the wedding. I've been working on something else, something new, something completely different. It's gonna take a long time and a lot of effort, and you know, with all this stuff when I couldn't be filming or had to cancel the plans or waiting in between videos to self-quarantine, make sure we're not sick, or waiting for COVID tests and all this stuff, I was like, I really don't have an excuse not to start this new project. So I am working on something. Maybe it'll be a failure and you'll never see it. Although probably not, because when I work on something for a long time, I usually put it in the world whether or no. So I have actually been working on something for a while, and no, it isn't music. Ever since I posted a few pictures of back in the day with the band the other day, and people are like, you producing new music in a rock? No, I am not going to rock my band, The Scarred, the band that I was in for all those years. They closed, booked to me. I have no interest in playing a live show. I have no interest in recording music for that anymore. Although actually, we had music we recorded before and never put out, so we may put out, you know, something. So don't expect nothing to ever happen, but I'm not gonna go playing any music or making new records for a punk band that I'm done with. No, we're talking about something entirely different, something I have never done before. Never done anything like it before, actually. But something I think if it goes well, I think you'll be interested in, I think you'll like. So it's not like all the time has been lost to sitting and camping. It's just, I get very, very, very frustrated. I get very, 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 very frustrated with myself, with the world. I get all stressed out when I can't work on randomly and work on the shows and do all that stuff. And so anyway, that's what's been going on. I didn't really have there was no good way to talk about it. Hey y'all, just want to let you know I'm super depressed right now and I can't move. I've been laying in my bed like Cameron from Ferris Bueller. I'm dying. I wasn't actually doing that, but metaphorically speaking, you know, I'm dying. I guess there's just some moments in life where you gotta pull over to the side of the road and go, you know what, this sucks. You gotta pull over, check the map, make sure you know where you're at, even if where you're at isn't so great, and go, all right, now that I know where I'm at, I've taken stock of the situation, I'm gonna make the best of things. So I am not giving up, not now, not ever. Not giving up on that quest for positivity or the fight against depression or anxiety. No. I just need a little time to and then go for it. I thought I'd already been through that, more of the beginning of the whole pandemic thing, but no, it turned out I had more. I had farther to fall, I guess, mentally up here. And don't ask me why, because I really couldn't tell you. The worst part, like the part I dreaded the most, was this. Just letting everybody know what's going on, because we get a lot of people, I mean, well-intentioned people, nice people, but they'll make little jokes like, oh, are you dragging your feet? Why haven't you married the girl yet? Like, which is kind of a sore spot for us anyways. It's been so frustrating and hard, and Allie's health problems, you know, she already has felt guilty, like, oh, we had to delay it. So just the having to tell people, first having to tell all the people who got saved the dates twice, including Bob Gurr, who sent Allie a really nice video message afterwards, like, it's gonna be okay, don't worry, I'll be there for the third one, third time's a charm. It's really nice. But then just having to tell everybody, like, oh, so this is what's going on. That was the frustrating part, and that's why I'm sorry it took so long But I wanted to cut off, hopefully, a lot of things where I go, oh, we had to delay the wedding because of the people restrictions or something. People go, well, why don't you just rent a hall? Or how about you go over to Arizona? Or why don't you do this one? Because we want to do the wedding the way Allie wants to do it, which I'm 100% on board with. I'm not like blaming it on her. She has certain things she wants to do a certain way. She had it all planned out, was all ready to go. It was actually happening, you know, and so rather than compromising what she wants, which, you know, she's already boiled it down to the essentials anyway. She wants to wait. I want her to be happy since she's the one I'm doing this for, obviously, and so we're gonna wait 1 year. So in the scheme of things, it's not that bad, but it was more just like that final blow to the heart when you've already been kicked in the shins and the back and the legs, and you know, you're already tired and hungry, and whew, it was just that one bummer, you know. It's kind of like if you ever had someone die that you're really close to, and I mean, go through a long illness, it's really hard. Everyone is sad, and you're devastated. I mean, it's such a loss, and they're gone, and you're left with this just shock feeling. But you're like, okay, you know, so and so's crying. I'll go talk to them, and there are things to arrange, things to take care of, and so somehow you just can't cry. Like when it's all said and done, you're back at home, and you're in shock. You're awestruck, dumbstruck, and you just. The tears just aren't there, you know. This has literally happened to me. Then you almost feel guilty, or you feel sort of strange, or you feel strong, whatever it is. And like weeks will go by, and you'll be watching, it doesn't even matter, The Office, or some silly sitcom, anything. You'll be in a grocery store, you'll see a sad picture, something will just unleash you, and you'll weep. You'll just weep. I had a lot of friends and family like that. Their spouse will die, or some horrible, I mean, even worse than that, just horrible thing will happen. It'll be years, and they'll be watching a sad movie or something, and then it will just all hit them, all come at once, all the grief and the sadness. It's like traumatic things that come back on you years later, and you just have to go through it. I guess it's kind of like a miniature version here. Like it's the best thing I could compare it to in the way that we've just been putting off the stress as much as possible. Like there's been moments where I felt like I was gonna lose it. Gotta hold it together. And holding it together, and just this last week was just taking a tumble, man. Just taking a spill. But although the sun may be setting on our plans and hopes for the fall of 2020 over here, I am reaching that point where I'm like, okay, the sun is going down, things are nuts, but just like every other day, the sun will rise again. I know that here, so I'm trying to get it back here, like, all right, let's go forward, and then hopefully I'll start feeling it again in here, you know, like just get that push. Anyway, I didn't feel like I just felt like I haven't been able to do anything. I couldn't get anything done or move on to the next thing, or even try to get busy or do any vlogs or film any episodes of Random Land or like podcasts that we do for Patreon. I couldn't get started on anything because I've just been having this thing on my chest and in my mind, and trying to comfort Allie, you know, and I just haven't told anyone, so I just had to get that off my chest. Sorry it took so long. Sometimes I'm succinct and articulate. Most of the time it takes me a while. But as weird as this sounds to a lot of people, I really do consider you guys like my friends and a family in a way, you know, maybe extended family, but. And so until I've been able to tell everybody stuff sometimes, it weighs on me, you know. So anyway, that's what's been going on. Not a catastrophe, not the end of the world, but it just somehow, man, 2020 finally got personal, like I said. I just started feeling everything everybody else has been feeling, you know. I've been chuckling at the memes, but now I'm like, oh, they cut me to the quick, you know, like, yeah, the curse of 2020. And I told Allie, I was like, I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious, so maybe it's for the best that this crazy, just horrible year, maybe it's better that we get married in a different year, you know. Sheesh. Anyway, we're starting to see the humor in it. We're starting to see the funny side of it and pick up the pieces and go forward and all that kind of stuff. It's gonna take a couple days until it's more funny than it is sad, obviously. But thank you guys for letting me get that off my chest. It was, whew, I feel better. Now there's nothing left to do but watch the sun slip over the horizon over there. The very last gasp of sunlight. So there you have it. Sunset in Orange County. We did it. We've done our duty. Now I just have to go home and sleep well. It's gonna take a while. And also, why in the world am I still wearing my sunglasses? It's been a long time since I've done vlogging on a regular basis, you know. Kind of had to cut that out of my life because people were confusing Randomland the show, which was taking up more and more of my time as it got more complex, was just vlogging, and they'd be like, cool vlog! Like, that's not really a vlog. Or at least I don't consider it that way, you know. Working on a show here for you. And then with the quarantines and stuff being cut off from a lot of the epic, big, grand, episodic plans that I had, I thought, should I go back and just do some vlogging during it? And I kept thinking, nah, because this should be over soon. The curve is flattened, you know, hospitals. Seems like it's getting better. They're getting better at treating it, you know, whatever. But of course, this thing's gone on and on and on for everyone, so maybe I'll have to get back to doing some vlogging on a regular basis, you know? Have a little silliness. Well, we just make Randomland a little sillier for the time being, perhaps. Always seems like such a great idea. Yeah, I'll get up there, watch the sunset, you know. Allie and I were up here the other night doing exactly this. Until you start heading back down and realizing, like, oh yeah, it takes a little bit. You gotta race against time before it's all dark. The creepy crawlies start coming out. Actually, I've been telling Allie for years since she's moved down here that we do have tarantulas. I've only ever seen, I think, one in Orange County in my life. And the other night, walking down this very trail, right when it was almost too dark to see it, a tarantula crossed the road right in front of us. And luckily, for once, I did actually bring my cell phone with me up here. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the size of it.
Ew.
I told you they were real, dude.
Let it crawl on you.
I'm not gonna let it crawl. Well, maybe on my shoe. Oh, it doesn't like it. I don't want to scare it. It suddenly became aware, like, yo, dude, I was cool with you looking at me.
Do they bite?
Oh, I'm sure it would bite. I don't think it's gonna attack us.
Oh, do they jump?
I don't think so.
Ew.
But it was like, oh, you're gonna put a foot in front of me, then I'm gonna make a stance. Allie and the tarantula, best friends. You know, I've seen a lot of tarantulas before in other places, you know, in other deserts. In my time, I never startled one like that before. They're usually pretty imperturbable in my experience, especially I think those are ebony tarantulas. I think that's what they're called. Normally when I see them, they're fine. You know, if you put a stick in front of them, they walk right over it. The way it jumped back from my foot gave me a little frightened. A little bit of a frighten, but no tarantulas were harmed in the making of that hike. So anyway, all right, time to go make Allie dinner, go home and sleep well. See you real soon.